Welcome to this newsletter. Laura and I got together today to talk about what does it mean to have purpose in your work and on a job, and how that is actually related to sustainability. As we all know, there are efforts to keep the global warming from going beyond 1.5 degrees C in 2100. There's the Paris Climate Agreement that has set some specific targets for 2030. Let's have a look about how we are actually doing with those climate targets. The World Resource Institute has put up a wonderful dashboard to show how are we doing in that. So there are certain elements that contribute to this global warming, like public financing on fossil fuels. The trajectory of where we have to be by 2030 is like that there is no investment happening. And currently we are sitting at the juicy 687 billion. So question, will we reach that? Another one is about agricultural subsidies on natural resources overuse. So it means the conventional way of farming, trying to get from it, like, for example, the massive use of palm oil. The projected target was actually having zero investment in 2030, and we are off track on this one. And this is a fantastic dashboard to show you with all sorts of stuff going on and how we're actually doing in tracking. Now, what we believe is, despite the bad news, that sustainability, in order to make it really effectively without burning out and having the energy, needs to come from the inside out of intrinsic motivation. That is what fuels system change. Laura, what's your take on this?
I think I totally agree. I mean, something has to change. As you saw in the graphs, we are not even close to reaching the goals. And it reminds me of the quote from Albert Einstein, that you expect different results doing the same thing. And I think the whole world is doing that, and everybody's waiting on each other, and everyone is pointing towards each other that, yeah, I'm not going to do this, but you have to do that. I'm not going to change my life, but you have to change yours. And who is responsible for our consumption? Is that us? I think so. I think we have a big influence on the sustainability, or the sustainability of the planet, with our actions, with our thoughts. And also we have the opportunity to change governments and companies. But that requires a lot more effort. And to do that, I think we have to dive deep within, see what drives us, see what are our values, what strengths can we use to put towards those goals, to indeed make sure that on this journey towards sustainability, we are not burning out. We are not burning out our own energy in the way towards sustainability.
Yes. And with that, how does it connect to work, So when I look at myself, I thought I was actually pretty good. I worked in oil and gas, and I used to work in green project. I was working on carbon sequestration projects. And I thought, oh, I'm actually really well on track. I'm doing something good for the planet. And still, it didn't feel enough, because I felt like we were talking about stuff that wasn't at the core of the matter. We were looking into making the technology feasible. We were looking in making the economics feasible. And at the heart of it, it was people and their hearts and minds, and how difficult it is to change our hearts and minds. So when I made the switch in 2015 to go into psychology, into coaching, into leadership training, all of that good stuff, that's where I felt this was really where I was starting to make that impact that I was looking for. And it started like stepping into my purpose and really feeling like, oh yeah, this is what I'm contributing to the world. Because it is not in the technology, it's not in the finance, but it's in people themselves.
It's in the behavior. And I think the systems that we have now, it's not about making those systems sustainable, but creating new systems that are sustainable from the get-go.
Spot on.
And that is also, I've had a bit more recent revelation about that my job was not on purpose. And it just started with a nagging feeling. I started not liking going to work and questioning myself, what am I doing here? What am I contributing? I'm just making money of our clients. I'm helping them, sort of. At least I try to. But and I had really nice colleagues, and it was a fascinating industry. I mean, the technological industry is often quite fascinating, but it didn't resonate anymore. So when I started to look outside, what is there something that I can do for a living? Because I have a mortgage, I have a kid who is like 10 months old, I have a husband who's an entrepreneur. So am I going to give up a steady job with a really good income for something that is much more unsure but aligns so much more with my purpose? And my purpose is related to helping people strengthen their life by making decisions from their own heart, from their body, and not from the things we have learned or the things that are expected or the things that are normal, but doing things from your intrinsic motivation and doing what makes you happy. And when I started to do that, and also lean on my own gut feeling and trust that everything I was doing was going to turn out fine, everything started to feel so much more light, so much more. I had so much more energy, and well, I haven't regretted it ever since. I signed off at the end of November, so it's now 4 months ago. So I'm not really not that long in my journey, but it feels so good, and it feels so good to give, yeah, to know that you're contributing to someone else, and that person is also contributing to something. So if everyone does that, I mean, the world is saved. It's just that easy.
Nice.
It's
So we solve
simple,
the
not
world's
easy.
problems with one simple solution. Yeah, and there is of course always a differentiation to it, and that's clear. There are always other factors contributing, but yeah, this has a role to play in all of this. And it's also about what is it the bigger that we are contributing to. Sometimes this is very intangible. Like, what is the bigger? We don't have the complete picture. We don't actually know how this all plays out, all these interplanetary systems. We grasp something of it. And what we have to follow then is what you say. It's this feeling, it's this intuition of saying, you know what, this feels right. And then follow it. Don't get deterred. And there is always the thing about venturing into the unknown. It's scary. And when you start trying to live on purpose, it can be really scary because, yeah, suddenly, quit your job that you're doing, provide safety. Will the new thing really satisfy? Will it really deliver what I'm expecting? So there are all these unknowns. So what tips could we give to people when they are like, yeah, but I really would like to jump, but I'm not sure. How did that work for you?
I think it starts with experimenting. To get to know the feeling. So if you have a nagging feeling, like it's just not, it doesn't fit. I can't really explain it otherwise. It just doesn't fit. There's this voice in my head saying, I should be doing something different, or I want to be doing something different. Start going towards that feeling and notice all the fears that come up, all the voices in your head that are telling you why you shouldn't do it, and try to park them a little bit and take one small step in that direction towards what your gut feeling is telling you. And you will see.
What was the small step that you took? Was it the start the 5 a.m. challenge, or what was it for you?
No, I think I started 5 a.m. more because I was only being a mom and that wasn't resonating with me. So start at 5 a.m. was a project for me to have something for myself. I think the first step that I did is reach out to 2 people. One was Frank, because we ran into each other in the wedding in Barcelona. And I told Vincent that evening, I have to talk to Frank. I have to. I have to. I have to ask him if he wants to drink coffee. But I'm scared, and it's a wedding, and so that was one. And the other one was to connect with a coach, a previous leadership coach that I had experience with, and who was working in a field that I found interesting. So those were my first 2 steps. And I was telling myself, it's just coffee. I'm just drinking coffee with them. I hope, at least. I'm sending them a message for coffee. That's all. I'm not doing anything radical yet. So that was an accessible step.
Nice.
So, and then I think you have to see what that does to you. What does it bring to your feeling, and what does it trigger? I think that's the first interesting step. And if you need,
For me, how it worked for me was I went to a coach training. I signed up for the first module of a coach training. I had the idea that this was something for me, but I wasn't sure. So I signed up for this. And I swear it was a door to a hunger that opened up where I was like, oh my God, I want so much more from this. And I want this to be part of my daily life. I was so excited and I was so hungry. And I was like, I want more of this.
Yeah.
So this was really the thing that really pulled me over and say, okay, I'm going to set this step.
Yeah.
All right. We need to start wrapping up, unfortunately. This is so juicy.
Yeah.
So join us for the pop-up training on precisely that conversation on like purpose on the job. What does it mean? Are you on it? And if you're not, how can you transition to it? Really looking forward to having you there on Tuesday, and see you then. Bye.
Bye.